I think that so many of us focus on like happiness or joy and all of these feelings being external. And that's just because like it's innate in our culture. Like that's how they can sell us things. That's how like the world goes around is when people think that, that it's something that has to be bought or it's something that has to, it comes from like our next car or our next achievement even. Or, like all the commercials on TV, like basically portray a happier life when you buy their product. And the thing is, like, we start to over time think that, that all of this is external and that that's how we are going to get more. So it kind of puts us into like a bit of a stress response.
Hey, friend, welcome to the Ready to Rise podcast. This is the podcast for ambitious, successful women who've checked off all the boxes: the career, the routines, the self help books, and therapy. We've done it all. But if you're still feeling numb, stuck, or like you're just going through the motions, you're in the right place because I've totally been there and I've healed myself using the tools that I now teach. I got certified in them so that I could help other women do the same. I'm your host, Audrey Rose, a registered nurse and somatic life coach, and I'm here to help you stop just coping, stop just going through the motions, and actually start feeling good again in your life, feeling happy again. Each week, we explore nervous system regulation, emotional wellness, and rituals that are rooted in ancient wisdom, ancient practices, so you can stop just going through the motions and stop just getting by and start really feeling lit up and alive and fully plugged in again. This is about real happiness, the kind that fills your body, lights you up, and helps you create a life that you are obsessed to wake up for. So are you ready? Because I'm excited to help you feel like you again.
So it kind of puts us into like a bit of a stress response because we're constantly like trying to work harder, or we're stressed about money so that we can afford these things, or we're stressed and feeling like a little bit of a dysregulation if we don't own certain things. And over time, the tension and the stress like give us these, like tight shoulders. We'll have, a higher heart rate. Our breath, it stays really shallow and it's not like actually filling us up and like feeling, we're not like feeling good. Um, a lot of times too, we're kind of living in that. It's like online, everybody's kind of calling it survival mode, but it's kind of like where you are ready for the next threat. Like you're kind of living in this place where you're almost like bracing because you know that like something else is going to get your attention, and or the kids are going to run in like wanting the next new toy, and you're like not going to you're going to be like, no, like we're not paying for that right now. But it's like all these little threats, even if you're not aware of it, your body is like ready for them to happen. And so all of this that's causing a dysregulated nervous system because you can't fully rest is also stealing our happiness. And so I'm going to chat with you guys about just how, how we can get that back through nervous system regulation, through just having a little bit of a more regulated state. Like you guys already know things that fill your cup and that fill you up. And then when you pair this with like what I'm going to explain about the nervous system regulation component, you are going to see like how it just goes even further, like into that happiness. Because, yes. So I know you guys have heard me say this, but when our system, our nervous system automatically is like scanning for threats and trying to do its best to keep us safe all the time. So whenever it like senses some type of threat, even if it's something that's imagined, because we can sit there and future trip and give ourselves that anxiety. So even if it's imagined, our whole system can flip into that like fight or flight response where we are just ready to like run away from the tiger or like fight, the bear or whatever it is. And it can, that's like what dysregulation is, because we are coming out of any kind of like resting response or just a true like relaxation, component into that fight or flight. And it's okay to do that. Like that is what nervous system regulation is the ability to go kind of back and forth as needed. But in this day and age, we're staying so often into that like fight or flight or, that kind of threat, response. And so we need to come into kind of like the safety signals and come back into us just really like feeling safe again, feeling like, okay, we can breathe, we can chill. So to let happiness in is the whole point. So in order for us to be able to let that happiness in, it needs to be able to, our whole body, our whole system needs to be able to come into that like rest and digest, or that kind of like more restful, relaxed state. If our body is always on edge and always like scanning for every threat, and again, if they're imagined, it still counts, then we're not able to really feel happy and feel that true happiness, because our nervous system's just not designed. It's not able to like come out of like the potential, of running from the tiger, so to speak, to like let in happiness and to be like, yeah, like, this food tastes really good. Like our body can't seriously sit there and like actually pick up on these little things unless it's coming into that more restful phase. But as you can imagine, if your body's like, no, I have a big priority here of like running away from danger, there's no way that it can actually let in happiness. And so again, it's like we are living our lives so like often escaping some type of danger, running away from something that's perceived as danger. And so we want to counteract that, and we want to kind of come into that safety. So glimmers. Glimmers are these like little moments where our nervous system registers kind of like a cue that something is safe or something is like pleasure. And it's really the opposite of the triggers, which are the things that stress us out and put our body into that fight or flight response. This is like the little things, like, getting cozy with a good book, or, having like a mug, like I love my morning coffee, or just even just feeling the sun on our face, or just these little things, right? And nothing is like glimmers are usually not this big huge overhaul where it's like this big massive thing happened and it was like this perfect day, but it's like the little tiny things that when you're going about your day and you're feeling a little stressed, or you're feeling a little bit like anxious or something, and you're able to pull yourself out because of that cue that you saw. So grabbing the mug, or, the hug, or whatever it is, like being able to notice that that's kind of a glimmer, it will help you to see all of the beautiful things. And then the more and more of those that we notice, the more regulated we become, because the more that we see that life isn't just a series of threats all the time. It's actually a series of really, really cool things that are happening for us. So the more that we see them, the more that our brain is going to see like, oh, I can rest. It's safe to rest. It's safe for me to slow down. And like, yeah, my boss just texted me and I felt like that was some big kind of threat. And I almost went into this full blown, fight or flight response. But then I just took that moment to like sit with my glimmer and like, get some sunshine or get something like that. And you're able to come back into that restful part of our nervous system. So all of this is because I'll keep this short, but I always like to give a little bit of the backstory. But one of the parts of our nervous system is called the automatic nervous system, or the autonomic nervous system. I like to call it automatic because it's all automatically happening in our bodies. And there's two different parts. It's the sympathetic, which is that fight or flight, and then there's the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest. It's kind of like that part is like the brakes, and then that fight or flight is kind of like the gas. And so when we are having just constantly in our field of vision, or on our mind, we're constantly seeing like the emails and the deadlines, and even doom scrolling on Instagram, like because we can't help but compare ourselves to people. Just all of these kinds of triggers that are going off that really puts us into that gas response, that sympathetic response. And we see the threats. And what happens is we start stress response because we're seeing some kind of threat. it stresses us out. And even if this is happening on the inside, we might not even notice it until we kind of finally catch ourselves like getting an upset stomach or, really like breathing heavily and quickly. And then we're like, wait, like where did that even come from? Um, but all of this happens and it creates the stress response, which releases all these hormones like cortisol, right? Where it can totally change our body pattern for that moment and give us a lot of body stress. And what happens is if we don't come back into that breaks, that parasympathetic response after, then we can stay in that stress for long periods of time, and that just wears out our nervous system. It completely wears us out. We can go into that functional freeze state where we're just kind of like almost frozen. We're feeling just very flat. We're feeling like kind of like we're just watching our life happen for us from the outside. We're not really feeling engaged and really feeling, like happy and like we're actually plugged into life. So, as often as we can, we want to really come out of that phase. We want to come back into that regulation, which means it means coming back into the parasympathetic. It means coming back and noticing the glimmers, noticing the things that let us like slow down and take like a full breath. We want to pump the brakes, right? Bringing in the little glimmers and noticing them.
Hey friend, quick question. When was the last time that you felt truly reset? If you've been pushing through exhaustion or kind of spinning your wheels, or maybe noticing that your energy is all over the place, I have something for you. I'm hosting a free 7-day nervous system reset challenge. And this round, I'm super excited to say that we are blending chakra alignment with the daily nervous system practices. So each day you'll get a new tool like breath work, tapping, or sound healing paired with a chakra that it supports. This is going to be free, 7 days, very powerful, and truly amazing. So if you're ready to feel grounded, more energized, and reconnected to yourself in just 1 week, join us for free. The link is in the show notes below, or if you just go to Instagram, it is there in my bio for you. Can't wait to reset together.
Letting us come back into more of that state of like relaxation so that we can let true happiness like come in and more so because that almost makes it sound like we're chasing it, right? Like we're trying to look everywhere for happiness, but more so it's just like letting the happiness that's already in our lives, like the beautiful things, like hearing a kid's laughter or like tasting ice cream or like whatever. It's really just like letting ourselves notice that and letting that lead us into true happiness, into, getting that smile on our face and feeling like really lit up by life. But again, like we don't feel that if our attention is elsewhere. So I want to give you guys like a little meditation, and if you're able to pause for a minute and just close your eyes for just a minute and just do like if you can put your palms together and feel the heat, feel the warmth, or if you have your hands like on your thighs or something, you can feel that. And just take a deep breath in and just like exhale it out, just releasing anything. And I just want you to pay attention to anything that you hear around you. If you hear a car going by, birds chirping, or I can hear my dog snoring. And just checking in on that, kind of noticing it. And then focus on something that you feel. So you could feel, the chair or whatever you're sitting on beneath you. You might even feel sun or air or something like that on your face. Just whatever you're noticing. And then let something come to mind from today, specifically from today. Anything that was a little moment where you just had a little smile or you felt like that was nice, like that was something that really kind of lit me up for a minute. And it can be very simple. It can just be, getting home from work and being greeted by your dog, or, just seeing something really beautiful outside, or just like an act of humanity that just made you, smile today. And just, I'm going to give you a minute to kind of focus on that and focusing specifically on the feeling that it brought you. I'm going to give just another minute to kind of like anchor that in, that feeling. And then as you come back and as you open your eyes, this might be a tall order, but for this whole month, really focusing on those little glimmers, really focusing on the little things that light us up and that make us feel really good, even when they're just tiny things. Again, the hug from one of the kiddos, or the flower that you saw, or a book that you really love, or, the cozy moment, like any of these things that kind of just make you feel really good. Saying yes to your kiddo that they can have the pizza tonight. Like, it brings such a good feeling in compared to everything else that we're seeing that can bring us into that stress state. And the more that we can override our body by noticing these beautiful moments, these really cool, glimmers, the more that we come back into that like place where we can just take a full breath and we can just like notice all of the good around us. And that really does bring us into being able to receive more of the happiness. And I want to mention, before I open it up to all of you guys to just share anything, I want to mention that the whole point of nervous system regulation, because people are really talking about this in general right now, but the whole point isn't just for us to necessarily stay in that restful state. And I think that like needs to be said. But when I keep bringing up like we're going to come back to the restful state, or we're coming back into that rest and digest, it's because we spend so much of our time in that fight or flight response, just naturally because of the environments that we live in, the society nowadays. So a regulated nervous system just means we're going back and forth, and we do want to get into fight and flight sometimes. There's moments where we need to, right? Somebody cuts us off in traffic and it's dangerous. Like, we need to be able to respond. But so it's not bad, but we want to be able to kind of go through both, and having time, not only sitting in the fight or flight like we're naturally kind of programmed to do these days, but also coming into the rest is what brings in the happiness. So just to reiterate one more time, these are like the moments. And I feel like in our society, like we get so wrapped up in like having to be busy, and like that's the badge of honor, that like we don't see, this as a badge of honor, like going and seeing Greece with your friend, right? So like that's the whole point, is like getting to like remind each other like what life is really about.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of the Ready to Rise podcast. It means so much to me to have you here and to get to share all of this with you. If this one resonated, literally just send this to a friend, share it with her right now, because there's so many women out there who really need this information. And I would also love it if you could take a quick screenshot, throw it up on Instagram, tag me at Hello Audrey Rose, so that I can connect with you and get to know you. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. Have a blessed and beautiful day, and I will see you next time.